Morning, guys. Welcome to the current affairs session. Right, where I'll be discussing all of the important topics that are necessary for UPSC. Right. And today we are discussing 2nd June's paper. And today is Telangana Formation Day. And yeah, there have been a lot of changes as Telangana has been coming to existence. But yeah, it's good to see states cherish their formation. So, firstly, we are going to discuss changes that are made in IIP. Right, we are going to understand the difference that are there between IIP and ECI and what is IIP, who made IIP, who creates IIP, and all of these aspects we are going to discuss. So, firstly, Indian Industrial Index of Production, right? IIP, right? Index of Industrial Production. Basically, recently, previously the base year of IIP was 2011 2012, right? The base year was 2011 2012, and recently they have changed from 2011 to 2012 from to 2022 2023, right? This is the first change that are made. Okay, first thing is that they have changed the base year from 2011 2012 to 2022 2023. The reason they have changed is because they wanted to increase the number of basket, right? As the economy has been changing since the economy has changed since 2011-12. So as the economy has changed since 2011-12, they wanted to increase something, and they increase the economic basket. And to increase the economic basket, they obviously have to change the base year. Hence, they have changed the base year from 2011-12 to 2022-2023. That is the first thing that they've changed. Second thing is that the main components that were part of IIP previously were mining, manufacturing, and electricity. These are the three main aspects that are actually present previously. Now that they have changed the base year, they have also changed the basket, right? Including, first thing that they've included was uh, water supply, waste management, and sewage, sewerage. These three come under one category, right? And second category is that they've added is gas supply, right? These are the two categories that they've added. Firstly, previously it was only mining, manufacturing, and what? Mining, manufacturing, and electricity. Now they have changed from mining, manufacturing, electricity to water supply, waste management and sewerage, and also gas supply. They have increased these two components. Now, who makes IIP? IIP is made by NSO, National Statistics Office, under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Right? That is what IIP is made of. And coming to ECI, ECI is nothing but the 8 core industries. Now, what are the 8 core industries? 8 core industries are nothing but fertilizer, refineries, natural gas, steel, then you have coal, cement, crude oil, and electricity. These are the 8 components of ECI, and they make up around 40.27% of IIP, meaning that they together weigh around 40.27% of the industrial index of industrial production. Now, unlike IIP, which is released by NSO, ECI is released by Office of Economic Advisor, that is under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, right? That is the other thing that you have to keep in mind. So, what are the changes that they've made? Firstly, they have introduced IIP, in which they changed the base year from 2011-12 to 2022-2023. Apart from that, they also increased the economic basket from electricity, manufacturing, and mining to water supply, sewerage, and what you call waste management, and also gas supply. These are the things that they've added. Based on this, they are going to calculate how the industry is growing and industry is not growing. And according to this particular article, you can see that the manufacturing has grown in a positive direction, whereas the mining and what do you call electricity have grown in the negative direction, because of which actually India's industrial growth has slowed down. That is what this article is actually talking about. And IIP is created by NSO, whereas ECI is given by Office of Economic Advisor. These are the things I got regarding to this particular article. Moving on. Right. IMEC is caught between the commerce and geopolitics. Right. It's talking about India, Middle East, and European Economic Corridor. It is talking about the India, Middle East, European Economic Corridor. Basically, what is happening in this article, they are discussing that the conflict that has happened between US and Iran has shown us something. What are the things that it has shown? It has shown us that, firstly, that just because you have military superiority, doesn't mean that you'll win. Right? What is it saying? It's saying that just because you have military superiority doesn't mean it will win. You will win. Let's say USA is there. USA is actually known to have military superiority, and Iran not that much. But if you see, even though it has military superiority, USA did not want. USA was not able to get what it wants. Right? What does that show? That shows that only military superiority does not guarantee a win. Right? The second thing is that uh, there are some global choke points. Right? Global choke points are there. What are the global choke points? Strait of Hormuz, Suez Canal. All of these are global choke points which are actually very vulnerable. Global choke points which are actually very vulnerable to geopolitical events. Right? All of these are very vulnerable to geopolitical events, and they have been very vulnerable. So they are saying that you have to stop depending on the choke points that are actually present. Okay. The third aspect that actually needs to focus on is that alternatives like IMEC are also struggling. Why IMEC are struggling? Because they are connected. However, they are actually more important, because let's say Suez Canal or Strait of Hormuz is there, and there's a geopolitical event that is happening. As the geopolitical event is happening, the choke point is being blocked. As the choke point is being blocked, what happens? All the supply will be blocked, and the globe will be affected. All the countries that are actually present near that region, or actually dependent on that region, are what do you call, very vulnerable to that. Okay, then it says that IMEC and all of these are very strategically important. As I was telling you, there is high amount of geopolitical instability. When there is high amount of geopolitical instability, things like IMEC actually help. Right? I'm not saying that they help, they replace them. I'm not saying that Strait of Hormuz and Suez Canal can be replaced by IMEC, because even they are vulnerable. If you actually see, IMEC includes Saudi Arabia and UAE. Saudi Arabia, UAE, Israel, all these are the countries that are actually present in IMEC. All these countries are actually very vulnerable too. Meaning that if you actually see, Iran attacked Saudi Arabia, Iran attacked UAE, all these regions it has attacked. What does that show? That says that they are also vulnerable, but they reduce the instability. That is what I'm saying. Right? They reduce the instability. Okay. So those are the three things that we actually understood through the war that has happened between USA and Iran. Now, what is IMEC? Right? IMEC is a economic corridor, as I was saying. This was brought in G20 summit that happened in New Delhi in 2023. Right? In 2023, a summit has happened, and that summit has led to the formation of IMEC. Now, what are the parts of IMEC? Now, the main objective of IMEC is to connect. Right? Connect what? It is to connect the India and Europe. Instead of using maritime, instead of using maritime solely to connect, they're using landways, airways, and waterways together, create a connection between India and Europe. That is the first thing that we have to keep in mind. Right? It also uses ports, railways. All of the things are what it uses: ports, railways, roadways, waterways. It connects all of them, meaning that it will reduce instability. You cannot block it in a one go. Okay, that is the first thing that you have to keep in mind. Now, what are the corridors that are there? There is Eastern Corridor, right? There is Eastern Corridor, which is from India to UAE, right? And there is Middle Corridor, which includes UAE, from UAE to Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia to Israel. Okay, this is the Middle Corridor, and then you have the Western Corridor, including Israel, primarily Haifa port, from Israel to Europe. Right, this is the chronology. From India, it will go to UAE. From UAE, it will go to Saudi Arabia. From Saudi Arabia to Israel, Israel to Europe. Right, this is the India Middle East corridor. Now that we've understood what the India Middle East corridor is, now let us understand uh, how resourceful or what is the main use of what you call IMEC. Okay, IMEC, firstly, as I told you, there is high amount of instability. Why is there instability? Firstly, there is instability because there are countries that are actually together. For example, let's say USA, UAE is there, Saudi Arabia is there, Israel is there. If you actually remember, UAE has recently exited OPEC. Okay, UAE has recently exited OPEC, and what is the reason for its exiting? The main reason for its exiting is because Saudi Arabia was controlling everything. Right, Saudi Arabia was controlling everything in OPEC. It was saying that even though you have a capability of producing 5 million barrels per day, I want you to produce 3 million barrels. Why? Because it wants to control the prices. But obviously, if UAE is producing 5 million barrels, meaning that there is 1.5 million barrels that is lost. Right? So that is why UAE exited. Now there is a tussle between UAE and Saudi Arabia, and we are depending on UAE and Saudi Arabia for the IMEC corridor. So there is high amount of instability here also. Right, as I told you that it would reduce the instability, but it could also increase the instability with due to these kind of reasons. Okay, this is the first thing that we need to keep in mind. Second thing is that investors might drop out. Right, whenever things like these are happening, let's say if a particular investment is there, if that investment you know that that particular investment might give you a lot of risk, would you be investing in that? Obviously not. Similarly, when someone is investing in the IMEC corridor, they would see that whether that investment is fruitful or not. How will they see it's fruitful or not? Whether there is a amount of political stability or geopolitical stability. All these are the aspects that they'll keep in mind. When all these are not there, what will happen? Obviously, they'll not invest. So investors will back out. Investors backing out. This is the other reason why IMEC is caught between the commerce and geopolitics. Then you have security risks. As I was telling you, there is high amount of security risk. It can be near the railways or it can be near the ports. It can be anywhere. There is high amount of security risk. So first thing is that there is instability between countries. Second thing is that investors might back out. Third thing is that security issues. These are the things that we need to keep in mind whenever there is geopolitical instability. Right, now, what are the other solutions? Right, what are the other solutions? The other solutions are nothing but usage of alternatives. We know that Strait of Hormuz alternative is IMEC. We are using IMEC as a straight alternative for Strait of Hormuz, Suez Canal, all of these. And when IMEC is in trouble, what will you do? You'll find an alternative for that. And for that, you have Oman ports or other ports that are actually present near that region. Right? These are the ports that you need to keep in mind, and these are the points that you have to uh, read. Right? When it comes to IMEC. Okay, that's all regarding this particular editorial. Next, orbital rivalry. Right, that's talking about our orbital rivalry, the challenge of China's space power. Recently, China has started to demonstrate ASAT. ASAT is nothing but anti-satellite technology. It started to focus on ASAT. ASAT is nothing but a anti-satellite technology. Now, as it is focusing on the anti-satellite technology, it is troublesome. Why is it troublesome? Because there are many satellites present in the atmosphere. I mean, many satellites present in space. As there are many satellites present in space, what will happen? Obviously, a tussle. And who will win this tussle? Whoever has the more capability. Whoever has more capability will win. And China is actually developing its capability, meaning that it started to create ASAT, it started to create satellites which can actually destroy other satellites, it started to create satellites which can actually clear the debris, meaning that it is trying to gain dominance in the space area. Okay, that is the first thing that we need to keep in mind when it comes to this particular editorial. Now, why is space very important? Right? Why is space very important? Obviously, the land area has been taken control of many regions, right? Many what do you call countries, right? Even China is actually trying to get hold of our spaces, right? Then why is space important? Space is important because for navigation, communication, defense, right, or mapping. For all of these reasons, space is very important. And China, through anti-satellite technologies or satellite technologies, has started to increase its presence in the space. Now, what are the aims? Right, this particular editorial is talking about the aims of China. Now, what are the aims of China? The first aim of China is civilian aim, right? Civilian aim, in which it's saying that it wants to land humans on the moon by 2036. Right? It's saying that it wants to land humans on moon by 2036. Second aim is to create or launch a nuclear powered spaceship by 2040. Right? Launch a nuclear powered spaceship by 2040. And space based solar power. It wants to develop a space based solar power by 2050. Right? These three are the civilian aims of China. Right? Other than that, they have military aims also. As we have discussed the civilian aims, let us discuss the military aims of China. Now, what are the military aims of China? China is actually saying that I will get space superiority. As I was saying, it has already occupied the land superiority. It is now trying to go into space superiority. Then the other thing is ability to disable. Ability to disable other satellites. Right? These are the things that actually China is focusing on. What is it focusing on? It wants to land humans on the moon by 2036 and launch a nuclear based spaceship by 2040 and solar space based solar energy by 2050. These are all the civilian aims that China has. Other than that, it also has some what military aims, and military aims is nothing but getting space superiority. Space superiority and also gaining capabilities of what you call creating or disabling enemy satellites or satellites that are present in the space. These are the things that China is actually aiming for. Then there are some other evidences on how China has created ASAT, right? Anti-satellite technologies that have created by China, right? China, firstly in 2000, I guess in 2009, I think it's 2007. It was the first time it has launched the ASAT. Anti-satellite technology was the first time used by China in 2007 as it destroyed. Right, it destroyed one of its own satellite. Destroyed one of its own satellite. Own satellite. Right. The second thing, it happened in 2017. Right. It happened in 2017, where 2017 or 2015, I guess. Yeah, 2015. I think it was 2015 when China uh, created a satellite which could actually destroy, right? A satellite which could actually destroy other satellites, right? It created satellite which could actually destroy other satellites. Then in 2020, I guess in 2020 only, and in 2020, I think 2020, 22, right? 2020 or 2022, it created a robotic spacecraft. It created a robotic spacecraft which could actually manually move the space, meaning that it can clear the Kessler syndrome. What is Kessler syndrome? Kessler syndrome is nothing but where a particular satellite is there. Let's say a satellite is there, and that satellite is of no use now, and they have destroyed that particular satellite. And after destroying it, there is high amount of debris, because unlike land where you can clear everything, in space you cannot clear. You have to go there. You have to create separate equipment, and using that equipment, you have to clean all of the debris. So as the Kessler syndrome is there, what is happening? A satellite is there, and as the satellite has attacked another satellite, another satellite, all of the debris is present in the space. Now that particular orbit region is there, which is full of space debris, cannot be used now. Right? Cannot be used now. So what is China doing? China is creating a robot which can actually clear all of this space debris so that it can gain space superiority. You can see how China is actually doing everything. Right? This is what China is doing, and China's main ways is firstly kinetic kill. Right? Kinetic kill is the main way which China is actually trying to do, which is nothing but physical destruction. It's physical destruction of satellites. Physical destruction of satellites. This is the first thing that you need to keep in mind when it comes to China's kinetic kill. Right? Then you have directed energy weapons. Directed energy weapons. Directed energy weapons are nothing but weapons which actually use lasers. Right? For example, let's say Navik is there, or Resat is there, or Cartosat is there. All of these satellites, what do? They have high amount of uh, dependence on mapping, or what do you call navigation. All of these are dependent highly. So whenever there's a particular equipment or particular part which is pointed out, or the laser is put on that, that particular weapon will be, and particular element will be gone. It will not be useful at all. So that way, China is actually trying to direct energy weapons. Right? That's the second thing that we need to keep in mind. And the third thing that we need to keep in mind is that co-orbital systems. Right? It's trying to put co-orbital systems. Now, what is a co-orbital system? Co-orbital system is nothing but which approaches another satellite. For example, let's say a satellite is there, and satellite is moving in this direction, and they'll put another satellite in that direction only, which is actually monitoring everything that is happening, right? Monitoring everything that a particular satellite is doing. These are the three ways in which China is actually focusing on. One is the kinetic kill, where it is destroying, it is physically destroying that particular weapon or particular satellite. Secondly, directed energy, which is trying to point lasers towards that particular satellite and disabling it. Right? Disabling it. And thirdly, you have co-orbital systems which actually orbit along with the other satellites and help monitor everything. These are the three things that China is actually doing. Now, what are the satellites that are actually in trouble, and why is India in trouble? Meaning that, let's say, China has around 1600 to 1900 satellites. China has nearly 1600 to 1900 satellites in operation. But if you actually see India has only 60 satellites in operation. What does it point at? It points that no matter what is happening, even if China is attacking one of our satellites, let's say China has attacked 5 of our satellites, and we have retaliated and we attacked 5 of China's satellites. How much is China losing? 5. 1900 minus 5. It's nothing but 1895 only. It still has 1895 satellites. But if India loses 5 satellites, meaning it's coming down to 55. And we are highly reliant on satellites, meaning that we have Resat, Cartosat, Navik. All of these are what? They're satellite technologies which we are highly dependent on. If one or two satellites actually are disabled by China for us, what will happen? We are very unstable in that region. So that is one of the things that is actually what you call uh, alarming. But however, there is one what do you call initiative that India has taken, and that is nothing but Mission Shakti. Right? Mission Shakti is an anti-satellite technology. Right? Just like how China is developing anti-satellite technology, India also has developed an anti-satellite technology through Mission Shakti. The Mission Shakti, but what you need to keep in mind is that this is only one mission. Right? Demonstrating one mission does not show that we have high amount of capability to counter nearly 1600 to 1900 satellites. That is the other thing that we have to keep in mind. So what do we have to do? We have to increase private production in satellites. That is the first thing we have to do. Other than that, we also have to focus on these things where we have to collaborate with other countries like Russia, Japan, and what do you call France, all of these countries, and ensure that we have a high amount of technology, because otherwise we'll be at a very bad disadvantage, because China has high amount of technology and high amount of control, and it is also doing a lot of land control. Right? Over the time, it is actually controlling a lot of India's regions. Right? That is what we have to keep in mind. Right? And That is all about this particular editorial. And that ends today's current affairs session, right? Hope you guys have learned a lot. See you guys in the next current affairs session. Thank you.